I think that local retailers have bounced back and they've tried to compete head-on with the north, and I think that's reduced a lot of people heading north. But overall, I think that Dundalk businesses have been through a lot in the past, and we've seen tough times before and we've come through them. So I think people in Dundalk are very resilient. We've had a lot of factories come and go, a lot of businesses come and go in Dundalk, and people bounce back. One of the things that surprised me when Irish Life moved to Dundalk 10 years ago was that we recruited people in their 20s who had been made redundant 2 and 3 times already, which to me was shocking at the time because I hadn't come across redundancy much. But Dundalk has seen a lot of that, but people in Dundalk bounce back.
The recession has affected me in many ways. I've lost my part-time job working in the dog track. I had to move back home with my family because I couldn't afford my rent with my boyfriend. I don't have as much money to be going out with my friends as much as I would like to. I've also applied for many jobs, but they're not taking anyone on because there's hundreds of people going for the same job, so it's impossible to get another part-time job.
A few people that I've heard of who've lost jobs have got other jobs that are paying less, or got positions that are maybe not the jobs that they were doing, so they maybe would be less skilled, but there's still jobs out there. So I would say that anybody who is willing to work and maybe willing to travel as well, because we're very well placed in Dundalk between Dublin and Belfast. So if you're prepared to go to Dublin or go to Belfast, I think you will find positions. There are some people obviously who are unable to travel or unable to get those jobs, and they just simply have to change their lifestyles completely. But I still think, so as I said, the social welfare system is good. If you've one partner working, and provided your mortgage is not too high, you can still get by. And I think if you compare Dundalk to Dublin, I know my contemporaries in Dublin would have a lot bigger mortgages than people in Dundalk. The Dublin property prices were sky high. Dundalk's went high, but never anything near where they were in Dublin. So I think we're very well placed geographically in this country.
The recession has affected Dundalk in many ways. Small local businesses had to close because their customers are going to Newry to shop. The town's a lot quieter because people don't have the money to be going out in town.
My view on the budget, unlike most, would be the sooner the better. Why? Because I think that out there at the moment we've huge uncertainty. Everybody's in limbo. I even see it from Irish Life. When we call customers to try and ask them if they want to make financial decisions, they won't. They're saying, I'm not making any decisions until I know how this budget is going to affect me. So essentially, the country is in limbo at the moment. Nobody's prepared to make any decisions. Nobody's prepared to move forward, make any investments. Even the people with money are not prepared to make investments because they don't know how the budget's going to affect them. So my view is, get it over with, let's deal with it and move on. And I think when people have realised what the budget means to them, then they can start moving on, living life, making decisions, altering if they need to, and so on. So it's going to be tough, but sooner it's over, the better.
The recession has affected Dundalk in many ways. Small local businesses had to close because their customers are going to Newry to shop. The town's a lot quieter because people don't have the money to be going out in town.
I think for one of the things that I have noticed, particularly in Dundalk in recent years, is there's been an influx of companies from overseas. And even on this estate here within Dundalk, we have a lot of American companies. I know why they're here. They're here because of the corporation tax. Our corporation tax and our flexibility within this country is a huge attraction for foreign investment. So the big thing from my point of view is I hope they don't touch corporation tax, because if they cut it even by 1%, sorry, my voice is going. If they cut the corporation tax even by 1%, I can see American companies leaving Ireland, and we can't afford that. We're very, very, very dependent on US and foreign investment in this country. We've a lot of educated youth, we've a lot of flexibility, and we also have this a very attractive corporation tax. So my hope is that they will protect that in the budget. And I think it looks, from reading the media, it looks like they are going to try and protect that.
A lot of people my age are in the same boat. If there are no jobs here, then they'll have to go where there are jobs.
Okay, just talking about the ghost estates and the apartments. Personally, I think the best thing for them is if the owners were forced to sell them for a very low cost, because if anything is available at the right price, it will sell. So if an apartment was for sale for €200,000 3 years ago, and now it's valued at 100,000, if you put it on the market for 75, it will sell. So I think if we could try and sell or get people to buy some of those apartments. But in relation to the ghost estates, honestly, I think some of them should be knocked down, because I don't think there is future in the next 5 or 10 years for them. So rather than have derelict buildings or buildings that may go derelict where you're going to attract a lot of crime and so on, I think you would be better actually knocking them down and rezoning them and turning them back into fields. So I think we probably need a plan, a local plan, which would be developed by the town planners to decide what to do. But it's a mixture of selling off cheap or rezoning. Okay, I think the thing with the centre of the town at the moment is, as you say, we've had Dunnes Stores moving out of Park Street, which has annihilated business in Park Street. Other businesses have closed down in Park Street, and I'm originally from Park Street, so I feel very passionately about that particular part of the town. However, I think the centre of the town is trying to find itself. Again, if you go back 10 or 20 years, it was just a couple of streets and a couple of shopping centres. Since then, we've had lots of extra shopping centres built. So the heart of the town is trying to re-establish itself. And I think there have been new businesses set up. So you'll find that there's Tesco are opening a superstore where the old shopping centre was, and there's a number of new businesses have moved into that area. So they're obviously, it's just the centre of the town is moving and changing. So I don't think it's necessarily such a bad thing. There are certain businesses in this town doing really well. As I said earlier, businesses have really responded to people travelling north. I don't think people are travelling as north as much as they were now. And certainly when I go into town on a Saturday, it's a lot busier than it was a few years ago. So I think it's just up to retailers offering value. Again, places in Dundalk like restaurants are doing very well. The ones that have responded to the recession and are offering special offers, they're full all the time and they're full all weekend. So if you've got a positive offering, a good location, I think you're sorted. But I would hope to see businesses maybe moving into, I think one of the things that I've spoken to somebody about this in the past, about the Dunnes Stores outlet on Park Street, I think they should just allow people to have a market in it, and that would attract people back to that part of the town. But at the moment, I think the centre of the town is trying to find itself at the moment, because it's being pulled from the long walk to the marshes, to Park Street, to the old shopping centre, and things are just evolving.
The town's a lot quieter now, and there's a lot of pubs and clubs stopping and closing now. There's a club in Dundalk that actually shut down.
Well, I would say Dundalk has probably been affected more than most towns in the country, partly because our recession came a little bit early. A few years ago, you'll remember that the euro was pretty weak compared to sterling, so everybody was shopping north. So 3 or 4 years ago, there was a mass exodus of people shopping north, which really affected Dundalk. So I think our recession came sort of double, and it came early as well. So I think that's Dundalk has suffered probably more than most.
The town's a lot quieter now, and there's a lot of pubs and clubs stopping and closing now. There's a club in Dundalk that actually shut down.
Okay, one area of business I think that has declined a lot with the recession is the pub business, and I think that is in decline throughout the country and probably throughout the Eurozone. Ireland has always had a very strong pub culture, but it's been very much in decline as people go for off sales and go to pubs for the last hour of the evening or whatever it may be. So I think pubs probably need to reinvent themselves. If you look at the even UK or European models, what pubs have done is they've turned more into places where where families can go for food. And I think for pubs to survive, they need to look outside of the pure drinking culture in order to survive.